What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. It is finally time for the Week 26 Premier League predictions. I want to give a massive shout out to all of the new members of the TF90 Super Tipsters Members Club. You can join that by clicking the join link in the description or the join button if you see it available for your country. That's Suraj Patil, who has rejoined as a silver member. Kintu Martin, welcome to the Members Club. We got Seiki William Mamalia, gold member now, absolute legend. Nigel Ndibele, I'm trying not to pronounce your names wrong, so if I do, I really do apologize. Jesse Singh, welcome to the Members Club. Chang Belmont and Pink Mango as well, upgrading to silver membership. And the members did enjoy a 75% success rate of tips in the last members only post I did. There were 17 tips, 13 of them came in, and I mean, a couple goals here and there in other games could have seen 100%, but I mean, 75% is a really, really good amount. It's a good win percentage, and I'm glad that I could have brought that to you members. So if you do want to join the TF90 Super Tipsters and support the channel and see the members only post, then join on YouTube. I also want to give a shout out to Jack Walsh, who left their predictions on the previous video. Had some really good picks in there. Man United to draw with Southampton. They had Newcastle to beat Aston Villa. It seems obvious with hindsight, but not a lot of people predicted that one. Tottenham to drop points against Wolves, and all in all, just a decent round of predictions. So if you want a chance to be featured in the next episode of the Premier League predictions, then like Jack has done, please leave yours down in the comments below, drop a like and subscribe to join the channel. Now, kicking it off, we do have West Ham up against Newcastle. Newcastle on a fantastic run of form, winning 3 games in a row now, taking themselves out of the relegation zone. Kieran Trippier, I believe, who has been on absolute fire. He was the first signing I tipped back in like November or December, Newcastle to make, and then they did, and lo and behold, it's turned out really well. But he will be out injured, I'm pretty sure. I think he's had quite a bad injury, so he will be missing for Newcastle. But this to me is the biggest test the new Newcastle, I guess you could say, will face. And I think at the London Stadium at home, it's going to be difficult for Newcastle to just continue and get another win. Obviously, West Ham, they do have Europa League coming up to contend with. Let me just check that. But I think with the way the new Europa League is sort of working, West Ham aren't actually playing in the next round of fixtures because they're sort of already qualified to the next bit. So I think for this game, Europa League shouldn't affect them, and I think they are just going to get the win. I'm going to give Newcastle a goal. They've been winning games. They've been scoring goals. I think West Ham are going to win 2-1, and my tip is actually West Ham and both teams to score at 3.4. I'm so confident on the West Ham win, but equally so confident on the Newcastle goal that I'm tipping West Ham to win and both teams to score. Now, after that, we have Arsenal up against Brentford. Arsenal currently sitting in 6th place, but with 3 games in hand on Manchester United in 4th. If they win their 3 games, they'll be 2 points behind Chelsea, who are in 3rd, having 1 more games than Chelsea, only winning fewer games than Liverpool and Manchester City. So Arsenal, I mean, with no Europe, no cup competitions, nothing really, they're looking pretty good. Good, great, strong starting 11. The squad is not to the level of the bigger teams, I guess, if you want to say, in the Premier League, but as a starting squad, if they can keep fit, which the chances are they will be able to for the most part, I really think Arsenal could push for top 4, and that would be great for me personally. I think they're going to beat Brentford. I think a lot of teams have sort of found out Brentford somewhat, you know, a little bit. Brentford is still making chances, playing nice football in passages here and there, but across 90 minutes are typically losing out to teams with just more Premier League experience, really. That's what it boils down to. And Arsenal at the Emirates, they're very difficult to beat. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to the Gunners, and my tip is Arsenal to win and under 3.5 goals at 2.05, because Arsenal to win is very short at like 1.44, and that to me sounds like it should be a guaranteed Arsenal win. But I think it could be cagey and close for large proportions of the game, certainly the first half. So I'm going to go for 2-0 and add the under 3.5 goals for the win to make it at plus money. After that, we have Aston Villa up against Watford. Aston Villa, off the back of a bad result for them against Newcastle, and Watford, I mean, they're just struggling, aren't they, really? They lost to Brighton, as I predicted. That was one of my better tips last week. I said Brighton to win at 2.2. I thought that was very generous considering how bad Watford have been, and that came in with flying colours. So I think Aston Villa are going to do exactly the same as Brighton did. I've gone for a 2-0 win to Aston Villa, and my tip is Aston Villa to win at 1.6. I think those odds are much more similar to what I'd expect Brighton to be. I'd expect Brighton to be about 1.7, 1.8 to beat Watford, to be honest, with the form they're in. Speaking of 1.7, 1.8, we have Brighton at home up against Burnley, and I think Brighton are going to win again. It's so weird. The last few seasons, I very rarely tipped Brighton to win in my videos. Very, very rarely. But recently, I've been tipping them to win, and it's been working. They've been playing well. I'm going to go for a 1-0 win to Brighton here. I think it's going to be low scoring. I think Burnley will just lack that cutting edge and Brighton will frustrate them. Brighton will have the possession and Burnley are going to struggle, I think, to really create many clear-cut chances. So I'm going to go for Brighton to win again as my tip. This time valued at 1.75, which I think is about right. Maybe 1.8, 1.9. It probably is on some websites, which I also wouldn't disagree with, but no shorter than that for me, personally. I wouldn't want them at 1.6 like Aston Villa, but I think Brighton are still worthy winners here against Burnley. After that, it's Crystal Palace up against Chelsea. I was going to complicate this one. I was going to say both teams to score. I was going to say over a certain amount of goals and Chelsea win. I thought at 1.65, the Chelsea win was valued fairly enough. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Chelsea. My tip is Chelsea to win at 1.65. If you do want to push the boat out, I think Crystal Palace can get a goal past Chelsea. So Chelsea to win and both teams to score looks very good. I wouldn't go anywhere near Chelsea win to nil because Chelsea haven't been in the best run of form in the league. And Crystal Palace are good for a goal. And I'm giving them that goal. I think it would be very almost poetic if Conor Gallagher were to score for Crystal Palace. So perhaps Chelsea to win and Conor Gallagher to score. I'm sure you'd get brilliant odds for that. But I do think ultimately Chelsea will win. Coming up after that, we have Liverpool up against Norwich. Much like Manchester City, when I predicted them to just stuff Norwich, I think I tipped Man City -2 handicap at 2.25 against Norwich. What kind of crazy value is that? And that tip came in. I'm not going to go for the handicap here in case Liverpool don't play well, because if Liverpool don't play that well, they'll probably win this one 1 or 2-0, like Liverpool did actually. I believe it was against Burnley where they won 1-0. I'm going to go for Liverpool to win 4-0 regardless, and my tip is Liverpool to win to nil at 1.72. I don't think Norwich can score against Liverpool. Norwich had a little purple patch, but they weren't playing the best of teams. And I think Liverpool are going to win this one convincingly. Maybe even look at the Salah hat-trick market. That probably, even though Salah's very likely to score, a hat-trick, it'd probably fetch you a really, really good price. So I would look into that. After that, we have Southampton, the Saints, up against Everton. Everton beating Leeds 3-0. Donny van de Beek playing very, very well. You love to see it. Something tells me Southampton are going to win this one. I have a funny feeling that the Saints are just going to win it. Everton aren't particularly great away from home, and Southampton are a tricky team to break down at the best of times. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Southampton. My tip is both teams to score at 1.66 because I think the most common scoreline, if I had to say for this game, would probably be 1-1. So I'm more confident that both teams score as opposed to backing a Southampton win. So that's my logic there. And I do think Southampton to win, although they're at home, they're a little bit short to beat Everton in this fixture. So I'm going with goals, but I do think Southampton will have enough to get the win. Now, after that, it's Manchester City up against Tottenham. This one isn't going to be close. It's just not. It really isn't. Man City are going to win this one quite comfortably. I'm going to go for a 3-0 win to Manchester City. And my tip is Man City to win on a -1 handicap at 1.72. Tottenham are just all over the place. They're struggling at the moment. Man City are really coming into their stride now. They're at the point of the season, February, March time, where their squad depth has left them in really good stead to provide brilliant performances, being able to rest and rotate players to basically account for the fact that they're in so many competitions, and still they don't suffer. So I'm going to go for a 3-0 comfortable Manchester City win. Kevin De Bruyne to score and Man City to win is another tip, I think, if you want to look at that, because he's not one of the forward players, but he turns up in big games, and I think Kevin De Bruyne will score in this game against Tottenham. Now, after that, it's a big, big game. It's Leeds up against Manchester United, and I actually, before I say my tip for this one, I made these tips and predictions on Monday evening after the Champions League video went live, because I thought, right, that video's gone up, let's prepare for the next one, and my tip is actually Ronaldo to score at 1.8, because at the time I made this tip, Ronaldo hadn't scored in a long while, and I thought it was only a matter of time before he scores, and I think against Leeds is a perfect team to do it. And now, since making this tip, he went and scored against Brighton. So I still stand by it. I think Ronaldo's going to score again. My tip is Ronaldo to score at 1.8, and I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to Manchester United. I think they've got too much for Leeds. Leeds kind of struggling this season, haven't had great availability across the park. Man United should have the quality to beat Leeds in this one. Now, after that, the final game is Wolves up against Leicester. This is very, very tricky. We correctly predicted that Leicester and West Ham would both score in the last game week and there'd be over 2.5 goals. And we correctly predicted that there'd be under 2.5 goals in the Tottenham and Wolves game. So 2 perfect tips for Wolves and Leicester alike last week. So hopefully we can combine the knowledge we have of these two teams and make something out of it. The problem here is a lot of my Wolves tips go towards a lower scoring game, and a lot of my Leicester tips go to a higher scoring game. However, I think because Wolves are very much the form team, I should still edge towards them. I wanted to be on side with Wolves somehow, so I've kept it low scoring again. I think although Leicester games are frequently very, very high scoring, Wolves at Molineux, typically not so much, and Wolves, there's been very few goals in their games. So I'm going to go for a 1-0 win to Wolverhampton Wanderers at home, and my tip is Wolves double chance and under 3.5 goals at 1.7. So that means it could end 0-0, 1-2 or 3-0 to Wolves, 1-1 or 2-1 to Wolves. That is a lot of the likely scorelines on side. I don't know if I mentioned 1-1, but the most likely scoreline of this game is probably 1-1, then probably 1-0 to Wolves, then probably 0-0, then probably 1-0 to Leicester, but then 2-1. So a lot of the very likely scorelines are encompassed in this tip, and I think Wolves are just currently in better form and look like they can get the win. They're not going to create many chances, let's be honest, but their defense is very, very strong, so I don't see there being many goals in this one. Their tails will be up after beating Tottenham, so I'm going to side with Wolves. And that does it for this episode of the Premier League predictions. If you did enjoy it, please do drop a like, subscribe so you don't miss a single video. And if you want to join the TF90 Super Tipsters Members Club, then be sure to click the join button down below if it's available for you in your country. And if it's not, try clicking the join link in the description. But that is going to do it from me, and I'll see you in the next video very soon.